So I should have said some things a bit earlier. Let me go back and say them now. So recall is linear. If you have a linear map from Rn to Rt, then this is how I defined the pullback, that is the F star from Lk of Rd to Lk of Rn. Okay. Now we have you take a T in Lk of Rd, then I had defined T sigma of K to be equal to T of sigma. This is how I define the map T sigma, where sigma is in Sk. Now this is two separate things I'm doing. I'm taking T upper sigma and I have a F upper star, where F is from Rn to Rt. The question is, how are these two related, these operations? Which operations? Taking F upper star and T upper sigma. So the exercise that you should think about here is that what can I do? I can take T upper star, I can take T sigma, so I should see. T is in Lk of Rt and F so I can take T sigma. Where is T sigma? T sigma is also in Lk of Rd. From Lk of Rd to Lk of Rn, I have a map F star. Okay? So I can take F star T sigma, and the other thing I can do is I can take first F star of T. F star of T is where F star of T is in Lk of Rn. And then I can take its sigma. I hope you understand the difference between this and this. Here I'm taking T, apply sigma first, and then take F star. Here I'm taking T, apply F star, and then take upper sigma. Both these things make sense. And if what I'm doing is correct, I must be able to say that the upper star and the upper sigma behave well with respect to each other. And what will I mean by behaving well with respect to each other? I will mean that these two things are equal. So this is the exercise, that F upper star T upper sigma is equal to F upper star T its upper sigma. So this is a very good exercise to try and understand what this whole picture is about. Now we need one more property of this sigma's business that we have. Okay, and that property is that. So then, once I have this, I have one more property about wedge products. So the exercise is f star. So this statement that f star t sigma is f star t its sigma. This statement says that upper star these two operations, upper star and upper sigma. This is the upper star and this is the upper sigma. Upper star and upper sigma sorry about the small handwriting, but what I want to say is that upper star and upper sigma behave well with respect to each other. Okay? And once you have this, it is an easy exercise to show that f upper star. So I have upper star and I have an omega and eta. F upper star of omega wedge eta. What is the thing that I can write on the right hand side? On the right hand side I can write f upper star omega and f upper star eta, and I can take their wedge product. So here I take the wedge product first and then take the f upper star of that. Here I am taking f upper star first omega and f upper star first eta, and then taking the wedge product. And then what will I have? What is the exercise? The exercise is these two are the same. The other way of saying this is that f upper star behaves well with respect to wedge. You know, this is going to be more and more often you'll have to do these kind of things. You have more and more structures and you're introducing a new structure. The moment you introduce a new structure, you must be careful that the new structure behaves well with respect to the structures that you have already. If not, then the new structure will have nothing to do with the previous structure. So the structures I have here are wedge product, and I have a star and I have an F. And this is the natural way of saying that this behaves well with respect. Or the other way of saying that is that F upper star respects each other. And this is something that you will have to check more and more often as you are introducing more and more quantities. Okay, we stop here. There is one more property that we have to be somewhat worried about. Okay, and that is the following. It is actually a property of just permutation groups and signs of elements in permutation groups. So, what is this that I'm talking about? Let me take this particular permutation on k plus l. K and l are two integers. So let So sigma naught is the permutation that takes, I'm going to tell you where it takes each of this 1, 2 up to k, k plus 1 up to k plus l. It takes 1 to k plus 1, then it takes 2 to k plus 2, then it takes something here to k plus l, and then it will take the next term, it will take, this is the where it takes the lth term. It will take the nth term to 1, 2, up to k. it's clear what the permutation is. The permutation is 1 goes to k plus 1, 2 goes to k plus 2, L goes to k plus L plus 1 goes to 1, then and so on, then finally k plus L goes to k. This is a permutation first of all. So is it first of all clear what this permutation does? 1 goes to k plus 1, 2 goes to k plus 2, L goes to k plus L plus 1 goes to 1, L plus 2 goes to 2, and then finally L plus k goes to k. The question is, this is a permutation in Sk plus L. The question is, what is its sign? It is plus or minus 1. That is clear because the sign of every permutation is plus or minus 1. So my claim is that sine of sigma naught is equal to minus 1 to the k times L. Okay? And how would you go about trying to prove this statement? Now, if you try to look at it, it looks as if it's quite complicated. And obviously, to get some idea of what is going on, we should take examples where k and L are small numbers, k is less than L, k equal to L, and k greater than L. In these cases, what is the answer that you will get? Okay? So this is a good exercise to do, is to take small examples with different k's and l's. So take small examples with these kind of things and you should be able to convince yourself that what I've written there is correct. Okay? It is not equal to minus 1 to the k plus L. It is not equal to minus 1 to the k. It is equal to minus 1 to the k times L. This is the general answer. And again, this is a thing that you should understand, that if you want to prove something like this, you must have examples to give you the intuition of what the answer should be. Okay? So you should try to understand this. Now, how will the proof go? I'm not going to explain the proof completely, but I shall tell you the answer. What is it that you have to do? This 1 that you have here, you want to bring it below 1. Okay? To change this 1 and put it in the first place, what do you have to do? You have to first interchange this 1 and k plus L. Then you have to interchange, the 1 will now be here. Then you have to interchange that 1 with k plus L minus 1. Then you have to interchange this again. 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 And finally, the 1 will come to this place. At the end of this, how many times are you interchanging the k 1 and this? You are interchanging it this time, this time, this time. How many times are you doing it? You are doing it L times. Okay, because there are L terms in front of it. You have to do L interchanges. Each interchange is a transposition. The sign of a transposition is minus 1. So, after L transpositions, what do you get? You have sigma naught and L transpositions. What will you get? 1, 2, 3. Finally, this 1 is going to come here. This k plus 1 will be here. and then this k plus L will be in this place, okay? Namely, it will be in the L plus 1th place. Then you have 2 up to k. Now you do this again. You interchange this 2, you interchange this 2, you interchange this 2. How many times do you have to interchange? You have to interchange L times. So after L transpositions into L transpositions into sigma naught is equal to 1, 2, and now this 2 has already gone there, so 3. And how many times do you have to do this? You have to do this a total of k times. So and therefore, this term that I have here is the inverse of sigma naught. Therefore, the sine of sigma naught into the sine of this is 1. And therefore, the sine of sigma naught is equal to the sine of this inverse, which is the sine of this itself. What is each transposition has a sine minus 1. There are L transpositions, and you're doing this k times. And therefore, you will get the sine of sigma naught is minus 1 to the k times. So it is worthwhile to write this out properly. Okay? So we now know that sine of sigma naught is minus 1 to the k times L. So we'll stop here.